everybody. Caught me in the middle of a laugh. Happy Friday and welcome to week Delphinium of Blue Rose West Marches here at Weave the Tale. It's such a pleasure to have everybody back for another week of West Marches in a different system than the usual systems you see with West Marches. My name is Anthony, he, him pronouns, and it's so great to see you again. You can find me on Twitter at Prainntheplague. Thank you so much for Weave the Tale for actually hosting where we are, and for Green Ronin for the game that we're going to be playing, Blue Rose. But before I get into what's happened and donation goals and sub goals, as well as what we're actually going to be doing today, I'd love to introduce my amazing cast. I don't think I have an order this time, so I'm going to go with Cadence. Cadence, you're great. What do you got going on?
Oh gosh, yeah. Hi, I'm Cadence on Twitter. I'm at MagdaleneBloom. Oh, I got nothing going on except I do have actually somewhat good news personally. I have obtained a full part-time job, so I'm not completely unemployed anymore. Yay! It's a highlight of my month.
That's awesome. It's super important. I'm very happy that you're glad.
Oh, income. What is that? I don't know.
Just thought to find out. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate that. Next up on our amazing cast, Sphinx, or Ryan. What you got?
And you're muted.
And in true Ram form, he's not talking out loud.
Yeah, like I can't hear his lovely voice. Oh no.
What's going on? I'm Ryan or Sphinxral on Twitter, Sphinxral on Twitch.
Yay! Thank you so much for playing Blue Rose. I can't wait to see your amazing character in just a little bit. Next up, Staff with the plains of Rosea in the back.
Indeed. Well, that's what I'm hoping. I'm Staffan, known as RQStaffan, or all around the various interwebs. You can find me lurking, just like Pope, in most of your channels. In fact, I would claim that I lurk behind Pope sometimes. But things are going absolutely wonderful, or at least they will do until tax day. But you can find me on here, over on Rin's channel, Party Wipe, or indeed on my own channel occasionally, having fun with mostly Chaosium products. And I would say, if you have the option, come and play some at a convention this year. Get to meet some people. Who knows? I might even be there.
Keep an eye out. I did play a RuneQuest game with Staff earlier this year, or I should say, at this point, late last year, and it was great. So do keep an eye out for that. Next up, Brittany.
Hello everyone, my name is Brittany. You can catch me here on BrittanyBWrites. I just write stories. I have played West Marches. This is my first time playing Blue Rose. I'm very, very excited to be on here, and I can't wait to play.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I can't wait to see everybody's characters and all the... No, I can't. I was about to say the pun. I can't yet. I have to save it for later. Last but not least, Nikki, your intro.
Hey, I am Nikki, halfling_Nikki everywhere online. You can catch me usually over at TRPG, that's EA TRPG. Upcoming, we have masks on Wednesdays right now. That is raising funds for Equality Texas, and coming soon we also have masks on Saturdays, and so tune in for that as well.
Equality in Texas, super important, especially for the state of Texas. So that's really awesome. And I played my first game of Masks recently. So, and TTRPG puts out great content. I literally can't imagine two things better put together. So please go check out Masks game. And we will get into at least what we have here for donation and sub goals. So we are at 10 out of 20 retweets, or I should say 11 out of 20 now. Upon 20, the players will receive a pool of 20 hit points to give to whomever or whatever they want, whether it be themselves or a rock. I have seen people heal mango leather pants to reform it into actual pants, and that was a whole thing that happened last session, or in actually the first session. So retweet goal, super important, super fun thing to do. We're almost there. Sub goals. Everybody starts with this meta currency called Conviction. Everybody starts with 3 of them. If the sub goal is met, I will double that to 6, and each conviction can be used. It's a reroll in the standard text, but I use it as an auto success. It can also be used to add a major action, to dodge, to revive from death, to add life. Conviction can be used, and to cleanse yourself of corruption. So conviction can be used for many, many different things. We also do have donation goals, and I'll just mention just a couple of the first ones. So at $5, we have 1 conviction added to everybody's table, which is super useful. At $25, we will add a magic item to every character's inventory in every week of the game remaining. So this is a really fun way to make sure that everybody starts off with something ridiculous for our $25 donation goal. And for our $50 donation goal, the players will permanently receive a unicorn companion that will follow them across all places. At first, this was a mysterious unicorn, but now we know that it is actually the unicorn that sponsors the Haloed Knights and continues to defend over the Pavenweald, which is a perfect run-in into what's going on in the world, in the Aldian world of Blue Rose. So many different places. There were demons and shadow gates flooding in different areas of the land, kind of sort of attacking the primal forest. Thankfully, that's been taken care of, well and done. Many emissaries of the different regions came and spoke to each other about what to do when they tried to increase security in their own lands. Different knightly orders have been dispatched to these different regions to help in whatever way they can. Most recently, we had horses and other such people pretending to be pirates in the Pirate Isles near the Matriarchy of Lartia. Thankfully, this wonderful cast has actually successfully taken their own pirate ship, armada, island, and hoard of treasure. So last week, they truly did become pirate lords, which may or may not come into play later today. But for where we are right now, our group is going to be dispatched to the plains of Rizea, a tribal and nomadic land of people who work with horses and use the horse to live off the land. It's a beautiful culture, completely unlike anything we've seen so far, which has been aligned with the light or aligned with the shadow. They worship primordials and are in tune with the land. We are starting at one of their allies' main hubs, the Roamer's Rest. The Roamers are Romani-inspired peoples in Blue Rose who are nomadic and have a central hub here outside of Aldis who do anything that they want. This is a sort of hub for all travelers to come back, to rest, to tell stories, to connect with each other and recharge to love. But they have their own space outside of the city as to not restrict their freedom and to give them the sovereignty to do what they like on their own, at least in their own space, regardless if the land belongs to them or not. We start here. If everybody would kind of give an introduction of their characters and what their characters might be doing at the Roamer's Rest. It is a 3-tiered sort of tavern area with a basement with unseemly hobbies in the basement that I'm sure we'll get to in just a second, a rowdy mess hall, and a bar in the center area, and what we like to call fun rooms on the second floor. This is a mature channel. Sex and drugs abound on the second floor, everybody, so something to keep a mind or an eye out for. Eventually we'll get to a bounty board where there'll be 3 objectives, that kind of 3 rumors, and upon reaching Rizea, the group will go after one of these rumors and leave the other 2 threads for the other groups to pick up in the later weeks. But for now, just some context on what everybody might be doing in the classic tavern situation with these roamer people. Who would like to go first? Nose
Well,
goes.
I think we see a vignette of a dust cloud growing ever closer to the inn, as coming at a full gallop is a rider upon what we would know as an Arabian stallion. The rider is dressed in flowing yellow and green robes. His long black hair is flying back. His olive skin is frankly spattered with the dust of the long road. As he pulls his stallion up in front of the inn, agilely swings himself off with the practiced assurance of a natural swordsman, and indeed we do see a couple of long curved scimitars hanging from his waist, just underneath the long billowing cotton cloak that he wears. As he walks up to the frankly admiring, as opposed to admirable, stable lad, and says, lad, now you be sure and take good care of Sir Neighto. He is special. And he palms him a couple of coins as he looks up at this bastion of so-called civilization. But how can anything be civil when it's forced to be contained within stones as opposed to flying with the wind across the steppes? And he walks in to find out what may be served in the way of those particular drinks which the steppes maybe don't have too much of, that tingle of the fermented sugars that he so rarely sees. After all, if he's going to have to be civilized, he might as well partake of the civil pleasures. Meanwhile, as we swing back the camera to the Arabian stallion, wandering up towards the stable boy, who just nudges him slightly, and with a deep Neighto, lets himself be led off into the stables to rest and just keep an ear in on what his attuned rider Magdan is picking up on.
So, to be clear, Sir Neighto is a rye horse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, the stable boy is going to like look at you, you know, eating like the sugar and the goods, and sort of be like, "Are you just gonna like say your name over and over again? You know that I talk to rye horses like all the time, right? Like we had some, you know, amazing new friends I made last week. This, you know that the Roamer's Rest is completely like accessible, there's a Rhyhorse gate right there, and then like there's like a normal like tavern gates that swing open, and then next to it like a comically large Rhyhorse entrance specifically with the clearance needed to get through. So you're like, there's a trough of beer like right there. You don't have to do this.
I like to give my rider a little bit of a rein every now and then. He's earned it. I'll join him soon enough.
Oh, so that's how it is. You're bonded, but he's kind of, you're riding him. Oh well, I don't know what you guys do in your spare time, but you know, love is love. That's your business. I'm just happy with the sugar. This is delicious, and just starts eating like this basically like pixie dust, like ground up sugar crystals, and just little kid just like eating it everywhere, and having a good time, and is like, well, I appreciate your kindness. Most everybody who I speak to here, except for Jimmy. Jimmy's pretty mean, but I don't know. You'll see Jimmy soon enough, okay? Just if you see the tube, just know that he's gonna know that you took some, okay? Anyway, just whatever. The stable boy like walks away with this warning of Jimmy, whom you don't know yet, as the door. You know, you get to spend a little bit of time outside the stables. You do see racetracks and like circus areas like near the Roamer's Rest, as a sort of like fairgrounds that was closing down from a celebration earlier, and it seems like there's a fair bit of gambling going on, as to with different like rye animals. There seems to be a sort of there's actually several rye animal gambling areas, but this seems to be a new one that isn't standard to the Roamer's Rest. So something to keep in mind for just a moment if you're trying to make some extra cash before you hop off. Who would like to go next?
Guess I'll go.
What is Richendra up to?
Richendra is just, she pulls up with her horse Susan. She is a dark Vata, also she has Mexican tone. She has like short silver hair that goes to her shoulders. And she currently has like a good slight sword on her back. So she pulls up to the stable after Neito. You know, she doesn't know him yet. She goes to the stable boy and goes, "Hello there. Can you make sure Susan is all washed down, have really nice food? She likes carrots. She really likes carrots."
The stable boy hops up and is like, "Oh, of course," and it's like, I got paid enough for the rest of the day anyway. You know, I don't really need this food anymore. And just gives you a bucket of carrots, and just like, wow, Susan just looks like such a sweet girl, and just starts to, like, pet Susan. Susan mated me.
Oh, I turn to Susan out. I go, "Now please be a good girl and don't do what you did the last time we was at the stables, okay?" And I gave her like a little peck. She gets her a little peck on the cheek, and she walks in the bar, and her eyes, she just goes everywhere. She's like, "Oh, oh no." And then like she goes, "Oh, I forgot." Then she goes grab the coal patch, the coal thing right next to Susan's saddle. Quickly grabs that, goes inside, and just walks up to the bar, kind of nervous because she's like, it's her first time. She knows here. Everything's so new to her right now.
And super important. So, Blue Roses and the West Marches campaign that I'm running here is supposed to be a trans and queer positive friendly game where their stories are told as default. They're heroes. There's no isms in these particular areas or in this game at all, and they're, again, right, default positive image. So the term for trans people in this game is a term by the name of Lavel. a Lavelle man by the name of Barley, who uses the pronouns he, she, they, sees you at the bar. Now, Barley is a huge flirt and has achieved several star-crossed marriages, or this game's terms for polycules, with several of the parties that we have played with so far, amongst many of the other bar goers. Barley is a very, very happy person. So, Barley sees you approach, and she's like, I I've been really, really right for the last 7 weeks about exactly who's special coming through that gate. I'm gonna trust my gut again, and I'm gonna offer this person one of my special reserve. So before you even get to the bar, he's already like laying a platter of like delicious like breads, like bagels, like all kinds of like special herbs and spices collected from the roamers like bring back from their travels, and make themselves with the recipe and knowledge that they've gathered, along with like very hearty, like basically like an IPA, like how it would be like a fancy beer, to show off. So they lay it out in front of you, and like stares at you wide-eyed as you approach, and it's like just arms out. Hi, my name is Barley. Would you please care to partake of the wonderful feast I've prepared for you specifically?
Oh, thank you, Barley. She sits down. She's like, she kind of like stares at the food. Like, um, do you have like anything that's not sweet? Cause I'm guessing there's like some sweet stuff on there
Yeah, there's
on
like
the
a bunch of
platter.
carbs and sugar. It's just like just breads and like sugary like desserts basically.
She says to them like, I'm sorry, I can't have the desserts, but can I just have the breads and the cheeses and maybe a glass of Pinot, please?
uh, but is it the food?
Mm,
I see that you
mm,
seem to be carrying quite a lot there. There's a pack you have on you.
yeah, I can't have sugar. I'm sorry. If I have
Oh,
sugar, something really bad will happen. I'm sorry. I can't have sugar.
oh, and you have your equipment with you just in case. I'm so sorry. Right away.
Yeah.
Um, Barley basically takes out like this dehydrated, what seems to like yellow and red, right? Like flakes.
Hmm.
Um, and really unsure, Barley immediately casts Arcana on the flakes, and you see it sort of like rehydrate and turn into beautiful little blocks of Swiss cheese and little blocks of turkey, ham, and like small cooked beef cubes. And basically prepares a charcuterie for you very quickly. Uh, and basically like some cider that has very little sugar content, hands it out, and it's like,
Hmm.
I'm very sorry, I hope you find this acceptable.
Thank you so much, and it's all right. People do that sometimes to me when I bring in my equipment. Do you have like a little place for me to take some medicine before I eat? Because I really woke up this morning and I almost forgot. So is there like a little place for me, like a restroom or something?
Of course, right over here, and he shows you off towards yeah, basically
Hmm.
like the restrooms. And he's like, the roamer's rest will never turn away anyone in need. um, and kind of like knocks on the door and like yells like,
Hmm.
hey, get out for a minute, give this woman some privacy, and like you, you see like all manner of people and rye animals like flock out of the restroom for a moment, to give you the privacy that you need to do whatever you
Oh,
need.
thank you very much.
I have ulterior motives. If you're really appreciative, come see me when you get back. Usually
Uh,
everybody that I meet, uh you know they come back and they usually
um,
want to see me again.
um, I, um, the
Would you be
thanks.
interested in that?
I don't know. She just stands there kind of awkward because she's like, I'm gonna go in there. Thank you very, very much. And she just like,
Of-
really just straight walk to the bathroom, close the door for a little bit, know what you gotta do, come on out, and just sits and eat. And that's all she does. She's like, that was the most weirdest thing she doesn't say it out loud. She's like, this is the weirdest thing I ever did. Okay. Just start eating.
My pleasure, and he's like bowing with essentially with like the tray, like the please eat, like respectful gesture. Um, Turns around and speaks to somebody else that he sees enter the roamer's wrist.
I have a question. Are
Mhm.
the like rye animals like their normal size, or are they like
Yes.
large version? They're the normal size?
Yep.
Okay. Sphinx,
This is
do
a
you want to
huge
come
place.
in with my character? Like, do you want to enter together?
Okay.
Yay!
Yes or no?
What
I can't.
happens?
Couldn't hear it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So through the door, you watch a very large woman. She's like 6'2", 6'3", kind of broad-shouldered, very thick, curvy, and has long gray hair that's kind of braided. She's got two braids kind of going back, and then the rest of it kind of hangs loose. It's like a silvery white gray. Um, and then like my skin tone, big brown eyes, and some like really cool. She's got like some cool makeup that like very like leafy looking thing going on. Definitely looks like forest folk, but she's human, and she has with her on one shoulder she has a large owl. And then on her arm, which she has up kind of like she's talking to it, is a little squirrel, and she says, I don't know, Maria. Do we want to get some food? We want to get some food. Okay. And then Maria scurries up and it sits up here, and she's going to go up to the. What time of day is it?
It's early. It's like noon, but everybody's
Okay, perfect.
drinking.
So she's gonna go up to the bar and say, "Boa tarde. Can I get Maria? What did you want? Maria will have hazelnuts.
I would love to get that for Maria. And what can I get for you?
Bread and cheese."
He's like, oh, that's perfect. I actually had a surplus from something earlier, and like gets like the cheese and like the breads from the old platter, quickly remakes it, replates it, redresses it, and is like, this is just for you. And Barley hands out the platter. To Maria, he hands a small little like hazelnut drink. Um, we've been experimenting with new things. Jimmy has actually acquired quite a number of new goods for me, amongst some of the other roamers. I hope you like it. And you, like Nikki, smell the strong, bitter smell of like coffee. This is obviously coffee.
I am sorry that I think you misunderstand. Maria is not a rice squirrel. I don't think cafe is good for her. So if we could have any kind of nuts you have, she will eat that very happily. Carrots are good. Vegetables. If you got little insects around, she eats those.
um, she's like, okay. I know what to do. And like, slams on the table, and there's like this pneumatic tube running behind the bar, and Barley sort of looks over, and they see this like black liquid coming out of this pneumatic tube, kind of creaking and cranking all over the walls, until finally a drip of like black sludge fills up a cup to about half length, or about half full. They're like, no, not that, Jimmy. The food. Jimmy, like you hear like some like muffled, you hear like muffled like shouting from beneath the floorboards is like shaking and kicking kind of moves everybody, but nobody's phased by it at all. Like they move, a couple of steins drop, they're used to it at this point. Um, and the next thing comes basically like sea algae and like shrimp, like proteins come on. It's like I have shrimp and I have some.
Maria, do you eat shrimp? I don't think I've ever seen a squirrel eat shrimp. Maria, you can have some of my cheese and bread. She will have cheese and bread with me. A Teresinha. And she like holds her hand out.
Well, Teresinha, now that I've met you, I have to complete this. 1 second. He like pulls up like his sleeves and like reveals like suspenders and some like essentially flannel. He's like, I'll be right back, okay? And like gets an axe and like goes out back, just like kicks kicks out the door and takes like the servant entrance behind, and is like, I is like running away like I want those nuts, just screaming, running out the door. So that'll come back in just a moment. Will be Barley, and their big bundle of nuts. But Rem, what was going on with you? Who I'm sure witnessed all this.
Well, on Teresinha's shoulder, owl, brown feathers, dark chocolate and black spots across the feathers. He looks kind of at home here in Roma's Rest. He's been here a few times before. And he's just people watching from pretty much sitting on Teresinha's Warhammer, watching everyone around, and he whispers in her ear, "Watch where you step. People will get careless."
It's good advice. Behind you, you're like basically there's like this drunk Vata who's like swirling with a stein right behind you. He's like, "What do you mean? Watch where you're going. I'm perfectly fine. I've been drinking since 6 in the morning. It's been 6 hours, and I've been slamming and kicking, and nobody's coming up here."
When are you not drunk? Every time I come in here, you got a drink in your hand.
I've seen you before, Owl. You think you're so smart, you know, elderly, wizened, but what wisdom do you really have? Watch where you step, which at the very moment, a panel in the floor gives out, falls through, and basically you look down to see a pool of beer that they've fallen into with dolphins with basically tobacco pipes in their blowholes and trilbies, bags under their eyes. You ruined our game, all right? I told you to stop kicking. It's been hours. Jimmy, teach him a lesson. And like this other dolphin wearing like tailored suits like buffs up and rips the suit off as the panel starts to close, as some of the dolphins take a swig of their beer or mugs filled with black liquid, and screaming ensues as the panel locks up.
See what I'm saying? It's not the first time that's happened.
Well,
man.
I guess he's learned the hard way.
Some people never learn, though.
Not us.
Muffled. Yeah, Jimmy, teach him a lesson. That person was lost. At this point, Barley comes back with a big bundle of fresh hazelnuts, cut directly from an orchard in the back, and says, oh, sweaty. He drips a handkerchief off, and it's like, blows his hair back, and is like, "Your nuts, madame."
Teresinha says "obrigada" and takes them and gives them to gives one to the squirrel and puts the rest in her little pack.
Teresinha will keep these nuts for later. We'll remember that.
She's wise and old. She's always got to have snacks in her bag.
Yes, the return of the Nikki snacks. And I love how it's back. Plus, Maria can't be without food. So now you've secured many hazelnuts for Maria. Okay, very kind. Rem and Teresinha, you both see sort of many riders, many different people wearing like textiles and light fabrics. None of like the pompous sort of roughly clothes with silk that you've been used to the last couple times that you've come into the Roamer's Rest. It's obviously a more nomadic people, and you wonder if the Roamers are finally essentially the only patrons of this place. It's mainly Rizayans, Vata, roamers, and rye animals. It seems like the Aldean nobility that has taken a liking to this place in recent weeks is giving it a chance to recuperate its sort of like local culture and kind of what made it special. Roksolana, you do see Teresinha and Rem looking back as you stand at the entrance of the Roamer's Rest, where a number of Rizayan peoples and roamers share oratory stories from their many travels in the different parts of Aldea. And you hear stories of strange technology, of ruined kingdoms that still exists behind cursed forests, of polluted rivers that lead to dark secrets. And there's many threads to pull at. How do you introduce yourself?
Roksolana will stand there for a minute, listening to the stories, and when there is a pause, she will open arms wide and say, "Family, I have come to join you. What lovely repast do we have this day? Good drink? Good food? Yes?"
I am in love with
Striding toward the
Roksolana.
group.
Yeah, I'm in love with this. With like just the music stops. Thank you, Ian. Amazing tech. The music stops, the rumbling stops beneath, and everybody sort of hear like clinks, people dropping things as they mouth agape look at you. You hear like a roar, yeah! Like everybody's so happy whenever anyone comes in and takes it by storm. Um, exactly. They drink in your name and they throw up drinks. Like a rye turtle has like a beer hat on and is like chugging it very slowly and is like, I'm gonna go 24 rounds. And the turtle just tries to drink as many drinks as he can in honor of you. A dark-skinned person with very short hair and hoop earrings approaches you and says, what do we have for you? What do we have for all of you? Also speaking out. And at this point, it seems like the bar has turned into a forum for people. Usually when one person does it, it gives enough courage to others to do so as well. He sort of primed the crowd, and this person exclaims, my name is Maladar, a warrior of the Rizayan peoples for 15 winters. I've seen much and fought too much. I'm on a short-lived vacation to a land with less strife, like literally air quotes, as the nobility in the city near me would have you say. But regardless, I still need the help of brave adventurers around here. I represent the Windborn Cavalry. Any riders or peoples able to travel great distances, your help is required in Rizaya. And sort of points to a boat leading to the coast, like leading to the coast of Rzea, which it's not like a galleon like most other ships in the port nearby. It's like an extremely long, like kind of like a longhouse. It's like a very long boat with many rows on both ends. Kind of manually powered with a large lower deck for stables to keep their horses. That's why you imagine now that the stables outside were over flooding and filled with people, or filled with horses, I should say, and why Sir Neighto had a hard time finding his own particular spot. It was because it seems like it's already being filled by the Windborn cavalry. Her other Rizane warriors lift up and heave their drinks in the air with the food that they're eating, and they're like, "Which of you will help us?" The rye horses kind of in the bar look at each other and is like, "We literally just ran to get here. Like we're not gonna help you, okay? Like I want to get away from that." I don't know. Did you ask Mr. Turtle? And like the rye turtle is like drinking. He's like,
Teresinha is going to grab her warhammer from her back and be like, "I will come with Bernard." Bernard's her mule.
There's like cut image to like large war horses in barded armor. To like large war horses covered in barded armor, and then like this beautiful, very sleek, well like coated mule like in one of the stalls, like small compared to the huge war horses. What would Bernard be doing amongst the other war horses, Teresinha?
He's braying with his, and like he's laughing with his big teeth out. He's got his packs on because he's a pack mule. Yeah, Teresinha brings her ass everywhere.
Yes. I didn't even think about it. Took it from me too early. He's like, Bernard is laughing. It seems like the other horses have taken the joke well and are neighing outside. It's like, okay, I guess our horses are having a good time. It seems like the Roamer's Rest really just does rub off on people that way. Sir Neighto, I imagine you've entered the bar and seen this at this point. What would you just say to the long distance comment? The glory of muted. It's okay.
Well, that's one square on the bingo gone. Yeah, Senato is indeed standing back in the shadows in one corner, over by a trough of something that's foaming and has quite a sweet, sugary taste to it, no doubt. But he's just going to look out and have his gaze meet a certain rider across the open common room. And it's the rider who, in his flowing green and golden kaftans, that stands up and says, "Sir Neighto wishes it be known that he too is willing to join."
The horse, like, I imagine like your hoof like stomps. There's
yeah, absolutely.
There's like an affirmation. The cavalry riders of Rizea spend most of their time with rye horses and horses that they bond with the rest of their lives, whether they be rye animals or not. Upon hearing the hoof, like, they start to slam their weapons and fists and steins down on the tables and ground, and to which, of course, two more panels open up and several people fall. Shut the fuck up. This is muffling from below. Rem, any comments on the people falling?
Tried to tell him. He's just
It's
looking
literally
judgmental.
like- the wizened owl looking like
He has like straight black eyes, and he's just staring.
the attack balloons have inflated of warning, and they did not listen, unfortunately. Richendra, Roksolana, eventually. Well, Roksolana, you've already agreed to join the Windborn Cavalry. Teresinha, you've already joined. Neighto also has joined. Richendra.
Richendra, like, her mouth stuffed full of the turkey sandwich. She turns, and because I think she forgot her manners, she goes, "I'll do it too." Like, wait, drinks. I'll do it too. Hey, I'll do it too.
And Rem, do you feel the same?
Yeah, he just. I don't know if birds can sigh, but hear one coming from him. I know better than to talk you out of this, so I'll come to.
Like the neck stretch and then relax into it, I guess.
Yeah, the ruffle.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like you're along for the ride.
Yeah, and he starts eating the shrimp that were there before.
Yes. Oh, Barley's like, oh, okay. At least Jimmy didn't catch those for nothing. Good. Well, you're more than welcome to spend as much time as you'd like in the bar. In the rest, there's plenty of people to meet and speak with. Fun to be had, drinks to be had, money to be made if you needed any before you went. And of course, if you're going anywhere by sea, I'm going to request that Jimmy and his crew follow you. You need the protection, and it's like literally like a gang of dolphins, and they run a protection racket. So like they're gonna back you up with whatever they need. You look down at them and you see them like they're in like I said, in a tub of beer. So they just drink from the tub that they're in. It's connected to an estuary that leads outside of the rest and into fresh water and eventually salt water, so they can travel wherever they like. You also see them drinking that black liquid from earlier. It's actually pufferfish toxin, and they're drinking it and basically gambling to see how much each of them can take. Whenever one of them loses, they take more until they're temporarily incapacitated, while their take of fish and catch for the day is distributed amongst the other members. They're like, yeah, okay, we're almost done with our game. Just give me a chance, okay? Like, very Bobby Bourbon voice.
Rem yells down.
Watch.
Jimmy, who's winning?
Are you winning, son? Jimmy's like, looks at you, first time in any of the West Marches week so far, and Jimmy looks at Rem with an element of respect. This is the first Rye animal that Jimmy has spoken to that is older than Jimmy, and Jimmy will be like, Godfather, I'm sorry. Of course, by your will. It seems like Rem had some past connections with the organized dolphins prior to his time now, and they respect your word even if you're not there all the time. You just like flex on them, like
He's like trying not to lose too much.
He's like, I'm trying, boss. Okay, I'm trying.
You know the people that always come to the party and they just set up a card table. They just set up to play cards. Just do that constantly at every party.
I live in Miami, so the equivalent would be dominoes. But yes, I do know exactly what you're talking about. So at this point, prior to whether or not you want to spend more time at the bar or not, I will do one more thing at the bar, and then we can choose if you want to participate in gambling or additional flirtations with people at the bar, or if we just wanted to head off and start the adventure in Rizea. Prior to that choice, or exactly what you're going to be doing, which we'll discuss on the way there, Maladar will brief you on the way. Theodora, a roamer, a sort of middle-aged roamer woman who is not the eldest, but is not the youngest like Barley either, takes a seat and asks each of you, special heroes, blessed by the exarchs, the light, and the primordials, by all deities who run through this world, please take a card and see your fate. We do this for all who have the will to take it. Essentially, she sees a speciality in you, and she wants you to participate in a guided reading. She has two decks, a major arcana deck and a minor arcana deck, and we'll ask each of you to pull two cards. Who would like to?
Teresinha is not afraid of anything and immediately pulls two cards.
Ah, a powerful figure, Theodora says to you. Your years clearly state that you've learned much and your power grows with each year. But the secrets, your true power, lies behind the veil, in the relationships that you build, in the power you exude. The Empress, the King of Rods, which I'm sorry, I will never not laugh at rods, at wands being rods in Blue Rose, but that's fine. So the Empress and the King of Rods. Let me go ahead and pull up again what that is. So for the Empress, there is an aura of protection of nature around you wherever you go. Your aura is always covered in moss and kind of pristine thorns. She loves how much you care for the land and says, wherever you go, you, Bernard, Maria, the animals around you, I know that to you they're as important as what others might consider sentient life over non-sentient life. Life is life, and I know that you know that. They're in your hands. She feels very confident for you. The King of Rods means
Maria?
that Maria's like, face full of hazelnuts. Like, sure, yeah, I'll hear whatever you want me to listen to. Just like, give me more of these nuts, please. Your destiny is to be honest. So you're not scared of anything. You're very honest, and you will continue to be that way. You will be rewarded for being honest. However, you're a little too sure of yourself, and eventually you will fall to self-righteousness. Keep an eye out. Your pride will be your downfall, Theodora says to you, Teresinha.
For that one, she looks over at Rem and says, "You hear that, Rem? We know I'm honest, though."
Sure. He goes, he's not even looking, he's still eating shrimp.
Please don't get shrimp juice on my coat.
I won't.
There's actually like a really nice like martini glass with like special fish sauce. Like honestly, Rem has like a little bib. One of the dolphins has sent someone who works for them, and is like another squirrel with like a little like leaf to like fan Rem, take a break, rinse off, like get back at it, and it seems like the Godfather has returned to the Roamer's Rest. So
Yeah,
it's definitely now of authority.
When he sees him come up and just starts sweating, he's just like, "You're doing too much. Just it's too much. Take a break."
Sorry, Chief. I should have known. And it's like a squirrel and an owl like chittering at each other, and others are like, "Is he gonna eat him? Like, is that what's gonna happen right now?" But no, you don't lunge for him, and you continue with your shrimp. Rem, Theodore says to you, clearly a powerful figure amongst Jimmy and his crew. You know, Jimmy's been quite a nice lad, helping me with my groceries, with my bank accounts, with anything I need. No bull. Like really, like Jimmy loves Theodora and the other roamers. Like he would do anything for the roamers' rest, which is why he's here all the time. Clearly, you exude a powerful aura as well. Please take. And she offers the 2 cards.
He'll take 2 with his beak. He'll pick 2.
Oh. I should have expected this for someone of your status, of your background. Death. The major arcana of change, of rebirth, of winter and of spring simultaneously. You will bring great change wherever you go. Just try to keep a part of yourself. With your minor arcana, the 8 of Pentacles. The 8 of Pentacles that. Sorry, reading it right here. Yep. You're patient, right? As your destiny, sort of calm. Oh, I'm sorry. What was I talking about? 4 of Pentacles. Sorry, apologies, everybody. Words. 4 of Pentacles. You are forward thinking. You have been alive for a very long time. You're very wizened, and so you can see farther ahead than most others. The problem with this is that with all this knowledge comes a bit of misery. You're going to be miserly if you do not do something to take care of the cynicism that comes with this knowledge. You seem a little cold, and Theodore is hoping that you reclaim a little bit of empathy in your time with new friends, basically.
He's like, oh, shit. I know I'm a bit cranky at times, but miserly?
Not yet. But you could be. What happens if you fail? You know, you're depressed. What happens if Teresinha?
Like, I heard people change when they retire. Like, Teresinha, if I ever mention retirement, just smash me with the hammer.
Yeah. Okay.
Constant wording euthanasia, everybody. It's a oh man.
I mean, Teresinha would do it. She's the protector of nature, and if nature is asking her to smash them, okay.
A strong bond. You'll do well in Rizea, Theodora says to you. I've been there, and I haven't been there in quite some time. Your resolve stands firm, and your friendship stronger. Who would like to pick next?
Roksolana will step forward.
Roksolana. I sense aloofness about you. But before any more reading, please, cards. And she asks you to draw.
I will draw.
The Fool for a major arcana. Oh. Theodora is like, many younger roamers would be quick to assume that a pull of the Fool means that you are listless, that you are without direction. This is a farce. The exact opposite. Your strength is in your adaptability, your ability for change and to pull new people around you. I saw what you just did. You rallied the Rizean warriors. They've been here for days, drinking their hearts out, thinking that they could run away from their problems if even for but a moment. They need to get back, and you push them to do it. You're flexible. Keep it that way. For a minor, the 9 of Chalices. Of course, you're carefree. And if you just keep the aloofness that you came with, you'll be happy. But be careful. You can become peevish or lost in the foolery if you don't stop yourself. So, without going into nasty words or other particular words that she has for being that way or falling to clownish nature, she just tells you to be careful and to keep the innocence that you came with. Next.
Richendra like slowly comes up to her. She goes, "Hello." Hey, would you like me to pull the cards?
That's so sweet. No, no, my kind girl, you're so much more special than the responsibility I have for pulling the cards. Barley, go pull those damn cards. He's like, I'm sorry, and like he's just like, fuck, okay, you know. See, this is why you drink, all right? And I screw everybody I can because I'm always doing this, you know, grumble, 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 and like, you know, Barley gets at it and like pulls carts around. There is a large amount of manure left in front of the Roamer's Rest that is currently being used for fertilizer, which the Roamers are actually very happy about. They get to grow a lot more of their orchids. It's spring. They're going to have a beautiful second month bloom. Okay, fine. For you, wait, this isn't what I expected. Death. Are you and Rem closer than I thought you were?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Who?
And Teresinha hearing this is, Rem, do you have a friend I don't know about?
I've known you forever. Why didn't you tell me?
I have a lot of friends.
Wrecked. Destroyed. Just can't. I have too many friends. I can't. Teresinha's like, oh, okay.
You heard this, Maria, Mr. Big Shot over here.
Maria grabs like a little tiny squirrel finger and like juts down like her eyelid and goes and like sticks basically her tongue at Rem and is like, whatever, and like cuddles up against Teresinha like, you're the best. Again, who's not a rice squirrel, so cannot use telepathy with you. It's just cuddling with you.
He just blank stares at the squirrel.
The other squirrel's clearly not scared of being eaten, but it seems like Maria has a moment of fear seeing the attack balloons. Because
he's known Maria long enough. They can joke around.
Maria's like, and like throws you like a pumpkin seed that like that she had stored like in a little like squirrel pouch, little tummy pouch. This is covering it, which they're not marsupials, but just kind of like was folding over and kind of keeping it in there.
Keeps it in her fat rolls.
Yeah, exactly. And hands it stored for moments where she needs it, just like for right now, and like appeases Rem with it.
Sorry, Brittany.
It's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
Okay, now I'll say it. Yeah, we're horsing around, even though there's no horses yet. A little too much. So goes back to death. There's change. You represent the same: spring, winter, death, and rebirth. Please stick with Rem. Both of you would be huge agents of change. Just stick to that, and your answers will be correct. As long as what comes is what's different from before. Remember that. You draw the Eight of Pentacles, which is, although you are strong about change, you're clearly dedicated. If you stay that way, resolute, all before you will fall. But be careful. Your dedication, your resolution, your loyalty can be turned against you. One day, you might find that you only fight for coin and glory rather than for the actual causes you cared for at the beginning. Lastly,
Lastly,
Rouse to you.
we have Sir Neighto, who will, in that exceedingly exaggerated show horse walk, where they lift their legs just really high, will just slowly saunter up, nod his head, letting his black mane just flow all over with a Neighto! And then he'll just reach forward and with his teeth pick 2 cards.
I love his like battle cry. You'll pick 2 cards. Yes, I see. Of course you got this. You came with another that shielded your existence, your reality. The Hermit. There is a, you can move knowledge. It seems like through you, stories are told and retold. You have a lot to share with Rem once you get the chance, and say something other than your name. Although, I love you for that too. And she almost like calls you out. It's like, this is a play, right? It's like you obviously know what you're doing, because you're a Rhyhorse. You're saying Sir Neighto a lot, and in reality you mean like, my heart is in pain, but instead it comes out as Sir Neighto. You pick the 7 of Swords as a minor arcana. You're careful, clearly, hiding behind your rider, being a hermit. But be careful. Being that careful can lead to carelessness. You might find that you care as little as Richendra does, if she ever gets that point as well. Not currently, but if she ever does. Keep an eye out for these parts of each other, she kind of says to each of you, and you will have each other's backs. Out of character, if any of you act in a way that you think exudes your character, please tell me, and I'm happy to give you an extra conviction. If you feel like you're acting in a way that fits your calling, your destiny, or your fate, and kind of pulls you towards that direction. So if anybody wanted to come up with some menu items and eat some additional food, flirt with Barley, flirt with some of the Rhydan warriors, or gamble with Jimmy downstairs and play darts, fight Dolphin Fight Club, or Pufferfish Toxin drinking contests, please let me know. Does anybody have anything else to do with the bar?
I have a question.
Please.
Is there like a spades or like a Uno table
Downstairs,
gambling
hardcore.
section?
Yep, hardcore Uno table downstairs with the Dolphins.
Oh, God.
Again, tobacco pipes in their
Richendra?
blowholes. Trilbies, like, looking at you.
Teresinha gets done with her food. She thanks Barley, and she's like, she thinks about this for a minute, and she turns to Barley and say, "Do you mind if I give you like a little peck on the cheek?"
No, not at all. That's very sweet of you. I would like that very much.
And I give them and I say thank you, and I give them a peck on the cheek, and then I go down the underground to play some Uno with the Dolphins.
Barley's like, this is a good week. And he's like, all right, like, wow, a very wonderful person. Gave me a peck. He's like very thankful and is like very happy with the experience that he had. Okay, you go downstairs and play Uno. Who would like to go downstairs and be like and assist in the Uno? Neighto, you can if you want to. You have the space.
I was going to say, I really am looking forward to the mental image of not so much the picture of the dogs playing poker, but more a set of Rhyhorses playing Uno.
You get you get in the basement, which is accessible for ride horses as well. It's a very large, like double wide, like staircase with like long steps that larger creatures would be able to travel down as well. I am going to retcon that. Sure, there's not ride dolphins playing. It's ride horses downstairs with the Uno table in theme of the horse theme of the game. And the dolphins are like, yeah, we're sharing a bit of space with the Rizaean rider horses, you know. They're ride horses too, but you know they need a space. They need time to gamble. They're on shore leave, just like their riders. You know, come on, they need it. So you go down there, and there's like these like horses with like shades on, and they're like, "You looking to play? You looking to buy in this table?"
And from just behind Sir Neighto, where we see the shuffle of robes as the rider has appeared, there is a voice of, I have, Sir Neighto has heard of this game. He is curious to see it played and to join in.
Nato's being a hermit, like behind, literally like behind everybody, like two hooves on the wall, like horse peeking, like face peeking through, but long horse, so like long face, so it's like really, really out there, like in order for the eyeballs to be seeing, so everybody sees Neighto before you see them. Richendra, okay, it's going to cost 50 gold to buy in.
Mhm.
Let's just say for intents and purposes, you do have that cash. You buy in.
Okay.
Okay. They deal you, basically. I'm just gonna say they're like it's Aldian Uno cards, and it's like the different symbols of the world, like different nation states and regions, and it's kind of like a roamer themed deck. They draw you a hand, and let's make our first roll of the game. You can use an auto success, one of your 3 convictions to do so, or you can give me another roll or a focus that you think is appropriate, and I'll be happy to to counter roll.
I think we should roll and see what's gonna happen. Yeah, we should do that.
What did you like? Did you have a particular ability that you wanted to use, or a focus? I'm happy to, communication would be good, dexterity would be good. I'd be happy with a couple different ones.
How about communication?
Yeah.
She's terrible at it. Let's try it. She's real bad, but we're
So
just
that'd
gonna try it.
That'll be 3d6 plus your ability score.
All right.
For our first roll of the game. All right.
Whoops. 6 plus 9. 24.
24. Oh, it's so much. Okay, no, you blow it out of the water. Rem, please tell me what happens as you say you fly in, as Richendra, like, as these horses like start to throw down their cards on the table, like, throw up their hooves in disrespect. They're like, oh, how could this be?
Let your guard down.
The dolphins are like, you gotta listen to the boss. I told you. Like, you didn't want to, okay? Like, you're not from around the Weald. That's fine, but mess with the Godfather and you're gonna get the wrong play. They're like, and then they have to pay the dolphins some cash because they bet the dolphins that they would beat you. So they lost twice. They lost to you, and they had to pay money to the dolphins. One of the dolphins walks up to you and hands Rem a cut of it as well.
He gives it to Richendra.
Wow. So yeah, Rem, you get like 25 gold like runoff. Richendra, you make 200 gold, and now Rem gave you the other 25 gold.
Thank you very much. I didn't mean to win it that fast.
You got a knack for it.
Yeah, again, this is the Death Arcana coming into play. Richendra not knowing her true power, her ability to change the fate of the world at the drop of a card, essentially, which is perfect. You have a bunch of cash now. You can definitely use this money for bribes. Gold is not something that is found often in Rizea, and outsiders are generally not found as well. The fact that the Rizeans are even looking for outsiders, especially in Aldis, to come and kind of for aid means that they must be in some sort of trouble, or there must be something big happening. The gold might come in handy later. Neito, how do you feel about this game that you saw? You were trying to get a look at it.
Well, that sounds like something worth getting to know. And he'll do that thing where he wanders up behind his rider and just sort of nudges him, nuzzles him almost, a little bit with his forehead, displaying the white star that's the prominent marking. And the rider will just quietly sit down, reaching back just to give the nuzzle a quick pet, and wait to be dealt in.
Okay. Fine. Now, I'm not going to get hustled again, because clearly that's what your group is about. But I'm happy to play you, like we would anybody else. 25 gold buy-in. You buy in. Please roll me communication or dexterity with any appropriate focuses or foci, and I'm happy to counter-roll. You can also use a role-playing stunt if you have one, which everybody starts with 5 stunt points, just saying.
Let's see if this works out. I'm going to try and claim that a perception focus is useful when it comes to games of not quite chance. To have a sense of what's going on around him.
You're very... Okay. You're very perceptive. Perceptive enough to see that the horse across the table from you has a long face and is looking a little dire. Before the cards actually hit the table, and it was actually a bluff the entire time. In fact, they blew you out of the water in this game of Aldi and Uno, and take your gold. At least we won one. At least we won some of it back. I mean, Richendra, come on, like, I don't know, give him some gold or play a game with him at least so he can win back some of it. But we're closing for the night. I mean, you kind of cleaned us out, and the horses are kind of like shit. They're gonna like put on their.
I'm sorry to clean y'all out. I'm very
No, it's
sorry.
okay. We trust you now. You must be extremely strategic to win so quickly. I'm glad to have you as a battle buddy. And they're like put on their barding essentially, like one at a time with people like with the dolphins. So, you see dolphins putting armor on horses that are upright. Like this is a strange sight. And they're like a little wobbly because they're drinking pufferfish toxin, but they're like 1,000 pounds, so it doesn't really affect them too much. And they're like little like arm doesn't work as well as move exactly as well as it should, and it's a little slower and a little delayed. And it's good to have you as a battle buddy, trying to put on the plates on their breastplates, but they finally do. And at this point, there's a call from upstairs. the Windborn Cavalry Captain Moldova is calling you back. Listen, everybody, it's time to board. Um, I'm sure everybody's had plenty of fun drinking their days away, but we need to head back to Rosea and see what's going on. Now, you, as the party, have two choices. You... There is... You can choose to ride drunk pufferfish toxin dolphins to the shore if you want it to be more covert, or you could ride with the other cavalry members in their like essentially large longhouse rowboat if you wanted to. For Sir Neito, it would be two dolphins pulling a carriage essentially for you that is buoyant, and so you would just be standing on this like seashell carriage with like salty hair like flowing in the wind from the trip, while like these two dolphins like just like ride over and pull you to the shore. I'm happy to give the players that decision to make, and then after which we will take our 15-minute break before we get back into the game.
I think
What
Nico
about
will hang out
Bernard?
with the rest of them.
What about Bernard? Yeah, Bernard, same thing. Bernard would also have a seashell carriage with two dolphins. For any like horse or mule-sized creature, there'd be there's a Poseidon
Just making
carriage
sure my
specifically waiting.
mule's not going to get left behind.
I'm gonna ride with the cavalry on the boat because Richendra never been on a boat. This should be interesting.
Teresinha's decided that Richendra's too sweet to go alone and is going to go with Richendra.
I'm gonna stick with you.
Yeah, I Roksolana will also choose the boat because she's not sure if her horse will be happy riding a dolphin carriage. Yeah.
It's like it's way too drunk.
Yeah.
Rem the owl tells his snaps his wings, and like dolphins like get into position immediately, but they're trashed, so they're like way off course, and yeah, you don't want to you don't want to take a chance with the seashell carriage. So it seems like we're hopping on the boat. Is that what I'm getting? Yeah. All right. Maldiva collects you all and says, "Oh, we're finally back to Rosea, away from these dreaded seven and their pontificating, proselytizing, and away from the exarchs of Shadow to the north, and their killing, stealing, and lying. I'm happy to be going back to the primordials, to nature, to the plains, the wind, and the things that make me feel like a human." And like downs like a bottle of some liquor or another after this like rousing speech. It's like, all right, everybody, just last little drinky pool. Now we're off, and like
I'm just
the
going down.
Rosayans.
You kind of judgmental, ain't you?
Yes, the Windborn Cavalry are very judgmental. They're not fond of outsiders, but they partake of their trade goods, it seems, and enjoy their luxuries. They hop on the ship as we row off to the Rosayan coast, and for here we will take our 15-minute break and come back in Breath of the Wild, basically, land, and we will see you all in just a little bit. everybody, and we are back to our second half of trans and queer-friendly Blue Rose West Marches with our wonderful cast. We are in the Breath of the Wild plains, essentially, with horse tribes and a long indigenous people's histories with oral histories and an extremely... This is actually probably the oldest place in Blue Rose. So quite a lot of history, quite a lot of significance and meaning, even though there's no grand city that some might wrongfully assume is advancement, when is really just urban hell. And like a loss of personhood. So this is a much happier place, although a lot of travel is required. And so everybody who doesn't already have one is going to get a horse or a mule or anything that they can ride. A ride turtle did stow away with them, and Rizaean mages will utilize Arcana to make this turtle a lot faster. If you want to use the turtle, that's fine too. Point is, you can be creative. You get back, and the guard captain of this Windborn cavalry is like, "We have finally made it to Rizaea. Now, listen, we have to separate here. The ride takes days, and there really won't be any way for any of us to do all of these things at the same time. Rizaea was left in a state of chaos after shadow gates opened, and ancient technology and demons from surrounding regions poured into this one. It's caused quite a storm, and it seems like it's accelerated a plot for secession faster than we knew what would happen. Anyway, I'll just lay it out for you. And this is like the bounty board moment in West Marches where you pick what you want. There's like a map strewn in front of you, and essentially there's 3 things you can do. The other 2 will be left for other people. Currently, there is a pirate invasion off the coast of Rizaea, not too far from you, basically as leftover from a pirate crew from last week taking over an island in the east, in the Central Sea, and causing sort of ripples. It seems like our last West Marches session, gathering their own party, has displaced enough of the surrounding pirates that they seem to want to attack the plains people in its stead. Many fishing towns are under attack, and there's an active kind of violent effort there. It's very combat heavy, so expect more fighting there, but that's what it would be. So option number 1, stop the pirate invasion, indirectly caused by the players from last week, and maybe see them, depending on what happens. Objective 2, there's like Maldiva was saying, there's a secession plot. Essentially, Rizaea is made up of 50 different tribes, and the current Great Khana is essentially like stepping down. Some of the other tribes are finally going to step up, and there's going to be a tribe move to see really who is going to become the new Great Khana and lead Rizaea into the rest of the golden age that we currently live in. So that one's like more political, a lot more like speaking with like clan representatives and kind of hearing their sides of the story, oral histories and indigenous peoples. And number 3, deep in the corrupted heart where most of the demons spewed from, a dormant shadow gate lies that no longer spreads these demons. However, what was once desolate land, an oasis and a lone spring, blooms at the center of this corrupted area. There was an ancient prophecy passed down by the oral histories of these people that the resurrection of a great Rizaean warrior, in fact the founder, a woman by the name of Jessa's return would be spelled by this oasis. And in its way, this is its own secession plot, except instead of being politically, it is perhaps the returning of this deity. So this is more exploration getting there, and then role-playing like once you get there. So very different objectives, and please discuss it amongst yourselves in character as we, and then we'll head off.
Teresinha looks at, looks behind her at her warhammer and looks at everybody else. I am good at talking to my friends and not so much with strangers.
What if we go
From the top.
to that?
Okay.
What about that shadow gate? That's kind of not, I guess, not active right now. What if we go there?
Teresinha probably makes a very good story for you, Ram. Yes.
What was it?
The
Couldn't hear you.
The Jessa, I'm trying not to say Oblivion Gate because that's what it sounded like to me. The Shadow Gate.
And maybe there's a demon I can, make a smashing of.
If anything will make a great story, I'm in with it. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
It'll make a great story.
Oh, yeah.
I'm down for whatever.
As the wind sweeps the plains, so the story will sweep the hearts of the nations, says the rider, and turns, you would think that he turns Sir Neighto towards that direction, but anybody with a little bit of perception can tell that Sir Neighto is actually turning just before he finishes speaking. I too have heard the rumors of this Jarzon-like.
I'm so sorry, staff. Neighto, thank you so much. You hit our sub goal. Wow. The Golden Chuchi Academy graciously accepts your donation and hopes to make a building in your name, the Great Library of Neito. May it stand forever. Everybody will gain 3 extra conviction. So anybody who hasn't used any at this point has 6 conviction. Just some quick context on what it is. It's a reroll, but to me, like in the text, but for me, it's an auto success. It can be used to add a major action, so you can attack twice, move twice, do 2 skill checks, whatever. It can revive you if you die. It can heal you if you are wounded. It can remove corruption if you fight demons or do evil deeds. So you have 6 of these, like, get out of anything cards, right? Please use them as Neito, our wonderful benefactor, has provided them to us. I'm so sorry, staff. Please, please recant the Neito's tale of freedom.
Oh. Much as the great Jarzon was found of old, so it shall be, no doubt, our task to spread the knowledge of whatever we may find at the gate, far and wide, across the plains, or else just say nay to civilization as we know it.
Oh my god, yes. Reject modernity in, like, the horseiest way possible. Okay. It seems like we have chosen Jessa and Exploration as our main rumor. Am I getting that correct from everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems that way.
All right. Demon
Can you
Bastion.
explain it one more time? So, like,
Of course.
there was a gate. Now there's an oasis. There's a person
Yes.
who is not being able to be resurrected.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening.
And what do they expect us to do about that? Like, are we supposed to destroy the oasis? Because Teresinha is not going to do that.
So now that we've chosen that, essentially, since the only reinforcements you'll have for this like kind of a long trek, this is the farthest point and the deepest, most dangerous part. Most of the warriors have kind of left and are either defending from the pirate invasion, which they will eventually, they will succeed from, but probably with the cost, and of course with the tribes moot that they will decide a new leader without your, essentially like without your input. Most of them are there. These are the only reinforcements you'll have. So Captain Moldiva and at least that portion of the Whisperborn Cavalry is going to go with you. Listen, we're not really sure. We just know that this is a new age. We've left the time of the Old Kingdom. We've left the time of the warring period. We've finally entered what all gods consider their golden ages. The light are basking, the seven are basking in their light, and the shadow are repressed, but they have their territory and they keep it. The primordials, however, are losing their power at an astonishing rate. We need an avatar, a totem, whether this be a person or an actual idol we can keep. Jessa is it was the founder of Rosea, and if it's true that her or a part of her has returned, this could put us on league with military and political power, the scope of Aldis. Not that most Roseans care about any of that, but still, defending the land it comes with that. I want to follow this prophecy. I have no idea what we expect to do about it. In fact, it's in such a dangerous place that few have even ever seen it. I'm sure that if we get there, some opportunity will present itself, something that we'll see that no one has seen yet.
Well then, let's go.
Yeah. Let's,
Okay. So before we start, this is going to. I'm not necessarily going to do exactly just a series of skill checks and then like boom, we're there. It's definitely going to be like set checkpoints where different events will happen, and you'll deal with them as you go. But again, probably I'm not necessarily looking to do combat unless you guys are, right? Before we move forward, at each of these set checkpoints, everybody will be allowed to use an exploration stunt if they wish. So everybody has 5 stunt points, and those of you that have rolled have probably gained an average of 2 stunt points each. This would be a good point to pick an exploration stunt and kind of decide if you had a very specific direction or something you could achieve with the stunt that might bypass some of these checkpoints and get you to Jessa or to the Oasis sooner.
Would my tracking come in handy with that?
Yes, it
I have
would.
a focus and tracking.
So tracking is always going to be helpful if you're looking for something in particular. In this case, you're trying to at least get closer past the plains is checkpoint 1. Let's get past the plains and towards the more like dense environmental areas. Right now it's just kind of like desolate and it's long distances. How are we going to get past these long distances? If you're tracking past a long distance, it would be more of it a penalty, but it'll be much more helpful once we get into these denser areas. What can we do to make what can we do to make this a little faster, or do anything else? If anybody had any stunts for that. We will just continue onwards, and if anybody comes up with a stunt at some point, you're more than happy to start out. There's going to be like different points to put it out with. Okay. So right now you're essentially a little bit northwest of Trident Bay, north of the Rosean Gulf. You're trying to make it to an area a little bit northeast of the capital city, known as the Wintering Grounds. It's in a cursed place that no one usually goes to, and I shouldn't say capital city, but more like a landmark that has been there for time immemorial and continues to be a hub for these peoples. Now, it's quite a long distance. There are plenty of hills, and it's going to take at least 2 days to get there. Let's at least make checks, whichever checks do you think would be best for stamina or durations of time. And let's see how far you can get past before we camp down for the night and figure out what happens to us.
What do we roll for that? Constitution?
This is I would say that Constitution would be a great roll for it. I'll also take a Strength roll if anybody was feeling like they wanted to just buff their way through it. I'll even take Fighting, depending.
Well, Fighting I'm even better at.
Warhammer your way to victory.
No, I'll stay with Constitution's fine. That makes sense.
Okay, we got some ridiculous rolls over here.
I
So
love it. And the two Rye creatures are just absolutely way out of it.
yeah, it's. I'd say that the target number that I was looking for here was a 14, which is kind of a high roll. Everybody failed from what I can see. Roksolana, did I see yours over there? Oh, I think you're muted.
Richendra passed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Richendra did pass. Oh, still a fail. So Richendra, you're the one that passed here. You're the only one of the group. It seems like everybody had to stop before you, but you were successfully able to make it closer and scout ahead and kind of learn some information, and then come back to the camp, or at least where they're starting to camp. What you see before you get back is the following. If you take a look kind of behind me, there are plains and dirt roads, pebbles strewn everywhere. It seems like recently a landslide has covered a certain valley that you need to pass in order to get through. You know in advance that you're going to have to take some perilous mountain passes and kind of scale the walls, or you're going to need to get rid of these rocks some way. So that's kind of like the upcoming issue that they're going to encounter. At this point, everybody camps for, even though let's say it's 2 days, let's say this is checkpoint 1, you camp for checkpoint 1. This is not a take watch kind of game. You don't have, we're not taking watch and being scared in the night of who's going to come attack you. But you do have a moment to discuss with each other and kind of steel yourselves, bond, create resolve, and discuss yourselves to prepare for what's ahead. Kind of decide a little bit about your mood coming into the next day.
Well, I see the rider and Neighto sort of being just a little bit off the side of the camp for a bit, down by the stream. The rider anxiously tending to Neighto, and Neighto finally admitting that he did actually partake not only of the card game, but also of the little bit of the pufferfish contest back at the Roman Hills, the Roman Inn, and hence why he just didn't have the stamina for the last 2 days as he should have done. But to make up for it, or to sort of to prove his, to show his link to this, his homeland, his the earth that has lived beneath his feet for all his years, as it were. he is willing to take on the garb of a drudge for the morrow, and essentially, together with the other animals and the well, maybe not the mule, because he wouldn't want to do something as gauche as to cause the mule to break out into a foul sweat. But basically become beasts of burden and drag away the rock slide.
So you're by the campfire talking about like your desire to basically listen. Okay, I'm just gonna honk him. Okay, like I'm just gonna pull him out. I'm gonna pull the rock out of the stone. The rock out of the stone.
Pretty much. I'm gonna own it. I messed up. The dolphins got the better of me. I was warned about Jimmy, and he's going to look up at Rem and sort of with that.
So it's
animal for animal look. Respect. And it's I have to do that. I have to regain my feet beneath me.
I think Teresinha, she, like, when they arrive at camp, she hits off her mule, and she's like, she like sits down on the ground with her legs right out in front of her, and just starts stretching, and she's groaning as she does it, and she says, and like she like does like one of those stretches, and her back cracks and makes all these loud sounds, and she says, "I'm old," and that's all she says about why she couldn't stand. I'm 80. I'm 80 years old. I can bend. I can stretch. Anyway.
Yeah. Maldiva immediately bows. He's like, "I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you had 80 winters. You don't look it. It's fine. I should have shown more respect. I cursed. I drank in front of you. I'm sorry."
Shut the fuck up. And then she smiles.
Hey, and like hands you a shot, and is basically tries to do like an arm lock, and like he tries to say, "Would you take a shot with this deadly veteran captain?"
Of course she would. She's been drinking since she was 12. I don't know about like your family, but in the Azorian Portuguese culture, you start drinking Angelica, which is Portuguese whiskey, when you're 12 and 13 years old. So she's set.
Wow. You share the shot. It's like swaying.
Also, she's very big. So it's nothing. She's just like, mm-hmm. It's good.
It's like, wow. Yeah, you're just a lot better at it than me, okay? Like, I don't know. But I bet, I don't know, I bet your friend Rem could drink us under the table. Seems like he always has his eye on, his eyes on whatever's going on.
He sees all.
Rem's up in a tree. Just above Teresinha. And he's just almost catching his breath, like he's flown for too long, and just taking everything in.
So Maldiva was trying to like jest and like kind of, I wouldn't say make fun of you, but definitely try to like downplay your status when she sees you like kind of out of breath, and it's very clear that you're working very hard. owls weren't necessarily meant for this sort of like long distance journey that you're trying to do. You have feathers, like you can't sweat, but you're keeping up. You're doing extremely well, and it's clear that you're probably even older than Teresinha. And if Teresinha, and then like she starts to connect the dots. It's like if Teresinha is 80 winters, and Rem is older, then that means Rem is even more of an. And like same thing is like basically like apologizes to you, like bows to you as well, like and then offers you like a shot also basically, and is like, I'm sorry, forgive me,
So,
like for doubting you.
and it's just like, we don't do that here.
She's like, looks at it, stunned, looks up, looks down, stunned, looks up, and like drinks it, but like really just like threw it behind her because she's like getting kind of trashed, and she's gonna like be riding on this horse. She's gonna like fall off her horse, and she's like, you know what? I can't like lose face here. I have to. The elderly have to know that I can hold my liquor, and like throws it behind. If anybody wants to make a check to see that she didn't, please do. If you want to call her out on it, if not, that's fine.
I think if Teresinha saw it, she wouldn't call her out on it. She knows what young people are about and what they need to feel comfy.
That's very sweet. Roksolana, Richendra, what are you two up to preparing for this next day?
Since Richendra feels like, cause she's home, cause she kind of grew up in Rosia, she's just like kind of taking it all in for a minute. She gets off Susan, stretches for a bit, and she goes into her pack and pulls out her journal. And she pulls out quill and ink, and she just starts writing for a minute. And she keeps writing until she realizes, oh wait, I want to write down the new friends I made. And then like her mind just goes completely blank for a minute, and then she goes to Teresinha. I'm going to butcher this name. Teresinha. She goes,
yes.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, dear.
I realize I have never introduced myself, and I'm very sorry. I'm Richendra. What's your name?
I'm Teresinha. This is Maria. She points at her squirrel. She's not a rice squirrel, but she knows things.
He knows things. Well, she's a cute little squirrel to know everything. Does she? She feel like she about to like cry a little bit, so she stops. Everybody's like, oh no, she gets in trouble, but then she's like, no, I ain't gonna ask that question. It'll feel like I'm crying too much.
What's on your mind? And while Teresinha takes out some hazelnuts from her pack and starts feeding them to the squirrel.
I was just wondering about. I'm sorry, this is gonna sound weird. The squirrel like always stays on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like leave your shoulder and stuff.
Well, I mean, she will go down. She goes to places. She doesn't sleep in the same bed with me because I snore and I toss and I turn. Did you want to cuddle my squirrel?
She's like, can I?
Maria, go cuddle with. She wants to cuddle with you. Go cuddle.
Oh.
And then the squirrel like bounces. She like crawls down the arm, bounces over, and jumps onto you. And now you have a little squirrel on your shoulder. She's making it.
She's in awe of the squirrel, and she's like, I will protect the squirrel with my life. Like, that's all. Like, I will protect the squirrel with my life. It's so adorable. Thank you, Teresinha, and then she just goes back to her spot, and then she like shows Susan first, like Susan, look, it's the squirrel, but don't hurt it. I don't want nothing bad to happen to the squirrel. She's just you see this like happy smile on her face because it's like she hasn't seen almost like a squirrel in her life, but she loves the little squirrel.
It's such a cutie meow. I love thinking about Maria and Richendra cuddling by the fire, thinking about what's gonna happen as they get closer and closer to morning. Um, Maria has clearly bonded with Richendra. Um, I'm going to say that actually at this point, Teresinha and Richendra can use psychic contact on each other as a sort of like bond. As long as Maria is at least equidistant between them. So Maria is kind of like a Wi-Fi extender for this psychic contact. And as long as she's in the middle of both of you, you guys can speak with each other. So that's one way to hold communication if anybody gets separated.
I like the idea that we find that out because Teresinha is like, when she wakes up, she's just like, in her head, she's like, I should not have drank so many of those shots. And so Richendra can hear that.
Yeah, he's like, what?
Are you okay?
I didn't think that. Yeah, like I didn't think that.
I'm fine.
Like as she says, kind of the second communication. You said you were drunk. I was just making sure you're okay. That you didn't need water or anything.
I have a headache. I don't know how you know that. I'm fine. I'll have some breakfast. You want some linguiça?
What's linguiça?
Sausage. And she like takes out of her pack. She has got like a pan, and she builds a fire and starts cooking breakfast.
You see this,
In the
like...
meantime, Roksolana is off sitting, watching everybody, writing in the notebook. And the two who bonded over the war squirrel made breakfast for one another of the finest meats, just exaggerating everything, and it's glorious.
The finest meats. I love it. But it is though. It's like we're seeing out here.
With Rem caught throughout the night because he's an owl. He's nocturnal. And that's what he's been doing the whole night. Is just catching the meat.
You wake up and there's just like a pile of food on the ground that Rem caught, like all by himself.
Rem, do you ever sleep?
Occasionally.
Gosh, I wish I could do that. Stay awake all night, all day.
Yeah, like when, right? Like you don't even know. I'm sorry. Oh man.
I didn't know that owls can snore until I met Rem.
The Rem just stares, not knowing this was a thing. He did.
What?
Rem snores?
Making a note. Owls can snore.
Is Rem snoring loud?
When it's in your ear. And she points that, like, so she's got, the squirrel can kind of just sit wherever, you know, like the squirrel kind of like tucks under her hair and, you know, things like that. But for Rem, she fully has like a shoulder pauldron that's like a little jutted out from, like, her broad shoulders are already pretty broad, but she's got like a special pauldron so that Rem can chill on her shoulder. And it's got a you'll see little leather straps as well for when Rem falls asleep. She just ties his feet to her just in case.
Nice.
Just hangs up.
And traveling to sleep on the shoulder.
Yeah, just leans in because there's the fur collar on her, her jacket, and so. But she ties his feet just in case he does fall over.
He does fall.
Because if he does, then she won't lose him. And he won't take a tumble. But yeah.
Don't want Rem to hit his head. So that I'm like, oh. Well,
No, there's a lot of stories in there.
Melador's like, that's how he sleeps. Okay, I guess that's why I didn't notice. He just seemed so menacing. He just stood there, menacingly, on your shoulder, and in reality, you're telling me he was just asleep? Like, okay.
He sleeps with his eyes open.
Great intimidation factor, even when asleep. Like, yeah, definitely jealous. Malador says.
I don't know if Rem actually sleeps with his eyes open. Teresinha's just fucking with this kid.
These black eyes just blankly staring at people.
Yeah, like
exactly.
I'm sorry. You're just like you're asleep.
I love the idea that there's this big woman, and the thing that's scary about her is the owl on her shoulder.
People I'm used to. Rye owls. I don't know what they're thinking. Does he want my squirrel? I caught the squirrel. I don't want to share my squirrel. So, okay. You know. Next day, let's all just you roll. You can use a conviction to get an auto success, like I said. If you basically to figure out just how well you will do when you approach the rocks, like how well you slept. I will say that everybody should add on top of whatever they're going to roll a +6, because there was some great bonding during the middle of that checkpoint. Whereas if we didn't talk much, it'd be closer to a 1 or a 2. So you'll all do very well, I'm sure. Or again, just take the auto success and just you don't have to roll. So let me know.
So we're rolling Constitution again, right?
I would say that for waking up from a dream and resting well. Sure, I'll say Constitution. I'll also say Communication, actually, whichever is higher.
Communication. We're going with Constitution. Not good.
Not good.
So
you can take
I'm
gonna use one of my convictions.
You can add 6, and yes, you can auto succeed Teresinha with your with one of your with one of your 6
because I would have a 13 if I added 6. 13's not good though. We wanted at least a 14, right?
Well, not for all things, but for this one, I would say that it is a 15 with the bonus. So, Roksolana, you just made it. Neighto, I don't think that adds a 6, so you made it. Teresinha.
Teresinha's taking one of the convictions.
Taking the conviction. Rem, you get to take it. Or like you pass because you got the +6 on top of that. And I think the only one is Richendra.
Yeah, mine's a 28 because I added 11.
Oh, 28. Oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Yeah, 28. Ridiculous. For sure. For sure. Okay. So, with this, you arrive at the rocks, and anybody who wants to make a check, essentially, actually, discuss amongst yourselves first if you wanted to scale the walls or climb it. Regardless of what you do, it will be significantly easier as a result of this bonding experience. Just 2 different paths.
Richendra looking at that wall, she's like, I think we should climb it.
Question is, how will our horses do on the climb?
Oh.
Bernard is good at hiking mountains. Not
Bernard
sure
is the
about
best one here. Bernard is the best one here.
That's what mules are for.
Susan ain't good with climbing. I tried once. Susan said nope. Turned around
Like
and
they
said
do.
we is going back home.
Susan's a princessy horse. I love it.
So Susan is
she's like,
turned around
Nope.
back to the wall with like head turned looking up to see Bernard, who's already like 10 meters. Like, are we not? Was this? Should I come back down? And Susan's like mini horse crush on this mule and like has affection for this creature that they've been spending time with, and is basically like I hope Bernard's okay. Like, Susan's like, can you please come back down? Starts like neighing and bucking.
Whoa, Susan, whoa. It's okay. We don't have to climb the wall if you don't want to. And
Neighto said you...
Why is she looking? Is she okay?
Neighto, you said you were gonna... Yeah. The horse is... Yeah, exactly. Animal companion comes first. Gotta worry about your best buddy. It's completely respectable. Neighto, you said you were gonna use your newfound friend vigor to like pull the rocks out. You're more than welcome to try a check, and depending on how well you do, maybe the others will take suit, follow suit or.
I think this is one of those points where, for story purposes, it behoves Neighto to just succeed.
Please describe, I should say, how you rip one of these like 5 boulders out of the pathway. Just tear it.
What you see is the rider getting off Neighto and walking over to the sacks that are hanging off his haunches, and he takes out, oddly enough, a ship hawser, so a really, really thick set of ropes. Maybe ropes that are currently missing from the dolphins, but that's a different story.
They're like, it cuts to them like trying to drive drive back, and they're wobbly because they're missing a rope, so like their carriage, the seashell carriage, is like going everywhere. It cuts back to you.
Yep. And he basically sets up a just a pull line up to Neighto with a harness. Although he doesn't quite have that sort of oxen yoke available, just the sheer weight of the hawser kind of gives that image to it. And he walks forward in front of Neighto, just gives him a quick pat on the top of the star and a gentle kiss on the nuzzle and a pat on the side, and goes, "You can do it, you know it." And he steps back, and Neighto, in pure Disney Hercules mode, just strains in with his hooves into the ground, connecting yet again with the lands of his ancestors, and just with all the power of the earth and the rocks around him, just ever so slowly, inch by inch by quarter inch, just shifts that one keystone that then has all the a goodly amount of the rocks beside it just fall down, leaving a surmountable obstacle behind.
A force of true strength, everyone sees. And the way is open. Like, you guys can cross. There's other boulders. It still makes it difficult for you to walk through, especially for your horses or larger creatures. There would need to be at least 2 more successes in order to pull out enough boulders to get fully through. Who wants to take a shot at it? If Rem
this
does
a
an auto
strength?
success. This is
A
strength or fighting. I will take, and any focus associated with that. For image sake, if Rem were to take an auto success here and pass, an owl would somehow move the boulder. So I would love to hear how that happens, but that's a personal opinion.
Why do I keep rolling so low?
Would you like to take a conviction, Teresinha?
To move boulders? No?
To move boulders.
Well,
Yo, okay. Richendra.
You
Don't
mentioned
say
heritage, and to me, there is nothing more incredible than the pulling strength of an Iberian Peninsula grandmother going down the road with a loaded cart.
The
Pictured
image,
my grandma
yeah, it's perfect in my head.
rolling boulders. Teresinha helps, just not very much.
The heavy cart pulling time was 20 years
Except
ago.
for Teresinha
during-
6'2", and my grandma is like 5 foot tall.
Teresinha did those during her 60th winter days, not during her 80th winter days. So it's a little past that.
Yeah, I
Richendra, how you just... Sorry, Rem,
No, I was gonna let Richendra finish.
I just said, okay, since you don't want to go up there, we're gonna walk. I just look at the boulder, and I just gently put my hand on it and just push as hard as I can, and the boulder moves. I'm like, I turned to everyone like, the way's free now. We can go past.
What? I was 2 out of 3, and then Rem, you rolled with your 6. You would have enough. How does the owl move the last boulder out of the way?
Actually, I didn't roll. I was only using auto success.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was from the roll. Okay, yeah. So he's an auto success. Okay, so you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
How does the
So,
owl?
What Rim does is he'll fly over to the boulder, stand on it, just like he's examining it. Just pecks it with his beak, and it just breaks away.
This is an episode of Demon Slayer,
Beautiful.
everybody. This is Tanjiro crushing his
Just
boulder
crumble.
right here. Like.
He just picks it in the exact right place to just make it break.
It just chisels down, and finally the way is open. You have a moment to discuss amongst yourselves before you continue.
I just say one thing to Rem. I'm like, I read that in a book once. All except it wasn't a beak. It was something else. And Richendra just like, okay, I guess we're going through. And she first she goes to Sir Neighto. She's like,
And the rider turns towards Richendra, and there's a momentary pause. And then it's like he clicks on and turns that final bit and says, Neighto wishes it be known that you, Richendra, even in the midst of the heat of these plains, have the coolness of the evening breeze about you.
You. And she turns around like, come on, everyone, I think it's this way. She doesn't know how she became the leader, but she's like, it's this way. And she's like, I don't know how I became the leader, but it's this way.
Falls into it.
And she gets on Susie. Go.
Position chooses you, not the other way around. You fell into it, Richendra.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on to the second checkpoint, we're going to stop for a second and hand out conviction for everybody following their calling. Both Rem and Richendra, both of you each receive a conviction for following the path of death and change. You know, literally, like, there's a boulder in the way, and it asks you to move, and you're like, you move. And one of you, like, threw one with, like, Titan strength, and the other one, like, you know, destroys it in the perfect spot at the right time and like crushes it into granite. Like, so both of you each take one for death there. Roksolana, definitely take one for the Fool calling at the camp, just being so happy and writing journals about everybody, and you're, you know, careless, right? It was just so happy, and I really felt it. Teresinha, you are literally defending nature with your constant like protection of Bernard and Maria and Rem. So that's an easy one. And Sir Neito, every single time that you like really want to talk, you have like your herald speak for you, and I love it. So it's such a great like way to like translate that knowledge, literally transmit it through a herald, a town crier, to somebody else. So that's an easy conviction. Everybody's going to get a conviction for their actions thus far. So if you haven't used any auto successes, you're at 6. If you did, you're back at 6. Okay, so checkpoint 2. You've reached the river, which is now you're getting into sort of like a swampy area where for a lot there was plains. It was rocky, it was flat, it was grassland, and you finally got over the hills, you've passed through this valley, and you've reached this river. This river is kind of suffused with algae. There's definitely a sort of like algal bloom that seems to be completely covering the water. And there seems to be a release of like an over-release of nutrients that's causing some sort of ecological shift. The nearby like mangrove-like trees are growing at an astonishing rate, but they're also growing warped and purple. They're growing like faces made of bark, with the screaming, you know, wide open at different points in the trees. And as you get closer and closer, it's very clear that this area that you're in is known as the Cursed Woods. These are a sort of old kingdom relic woods, almost as old as the Pavan Weald itself and the origin of Rye creatures. But whereas the Pavan Weald is still protected, defended, and lavish, this is one that fell many, many years ago. What's left is a strong site of magic that the Rizayans use for rituals commonly, and this is why you find yourself, coming here in the first place. Now, in the papers, this is like rocky. So, like, why is this super swampy now? It has to be the start of this oasis that you were thinking about. The problem is this: you've encountered heavy, heavy rain, storms for as long as the eye can see. Like, if you count, it's been like 24 hours and it has not stopped, like monsoon level rains. It is flood season and the plains are very dangerous at this time. There is a little bit of like ecological defense with these mangrove trees, but not enough to prevent like mud and like actual flooding For the people, it goes up to kind of your chest, and for the horses, up to basically like their legs, and kind of where their body rests. So it almost looks like Sir Neighto has like no legs. He's just like kind of floating horse torso, like on the river, just kind of floating along. And so anyway, that's where you find yourself. We're not going to like rest in between. We're just going to go right into it. How we deal with getting through the river. You have to get to the mouth of the river. So you found the river. How do you travel it with this algae and rain?
Tracking.
Fucking yes. Let's do a tracking roll. You're gonna be so good at it.
We'll see. I better.
Yeah, the rolls have not been kind to you.
Can I help with that?
Are you kidding me? What is with my
Yes.
rolls?
Because
I would
also
like-
have
I would
tracking
love-
focus and seeing focus.
Yes. Okay, so that's 4. That's awesome. Rem and
Wait,
Teresinha.
that also should have been
tagged-
+2 more, right? Because I had tracking, which adds +2. There we
Your-
go.
your perception
I clicked
is-
the right button that time.
Oh, I see. Okay, well that's way better. And then you help as well, Rem. What do you get up to?
Yeah, he's basically using his better sight to
tracking and
help
seeing.
her find her way.
Mm-hmm.
Like she outlines where she wants to go, and he's keeping an eye on where that is, so nobody loses their way.
Reconnaissance owl, the most the most useful friend an adventurer can have.
He's also like, since he's on her shoulder, he's spreading his wings to cover her from the rain. To
That's
cover her
really
from the rain.
sweet. Oh, that's really sweet. Maria is kind of like hiding on the other wing too, like under like, and sort of, but using a little bit of water that does fall to kind of like clean herself and groom her hair out, take out any oils. Yeah, you can. Would you like to use an auto success, Rem, or would you like to roll for that?
I'll roll for it.
Yeah. If you fail, you can take an auto success. Okay. Both of you destroy it. I will take one additional success from somebody after I describe Teresinha and Rem's activities, and then we'll be done with this checkpoint. So, Teresinha, you... Let's see. Your perception is so great that you strangely find gators in the river with the algal bloom. However, your perception is so great that you find the friendliest gators. And with your protection of nature, with your ability to really see them, you know that they're really going to be, friendly with you. All they need is to be calmed prior to being ridden. Does anybody have any spells of... Do you all... Teresinha, you also have
spell
calm?
I have.
Protection
Teresinha
of
has
nature.
calm. You like the
Um,
alligators are out there, and she like they're being snappy and rude, and she just like slams her warhammer on the ground to like hammer side down to make a big boom, and tells them to stop acting like squabbling chickens.
I mean, one of the gators like balks for a second. It's like, well, sorry, it's a chicken habit of mine. And the gator definitely puts it down and is like, okay. And like they all line up, Frogger style, and everybody can hop on a gator and take the gator train down the river, basically. Rem, while this is happening, you have eyesight on exactly what obstacles are ahead, farther than anybody can see them, and you can sort of steer the gator train in the direction that you're going through wing signals, I imagine, just trying to get everybody through. You're able to like successfully dodge like rocks, just shoring the alligators when the waters rise so much that it actually floods out into the surrounding area. You're able to like dodge like cursed, corrupted woods spining down with thorns, and these are dangerous. If you get cut by these, you could even be corrupted by them. So this is we're walking into demonic territory as we get further and further in. However, the land itself is looking more and more beautiful, so it's definitely sort of confusing in that regard. So we got Gator Train and Vision. Who else would like to make one last roll to assist any way they can in getting to the mouth of this river?
I mean, you could use my accidental perception click there. I got 15. I mean,
Yeah. That's definitely a pass. That's great. What would you like to perceive? Would you like to help Rem, or were you looking for something else completely?
first, Roxana's just, like standing up on the stirrups, just keeping an eye on what's going on for adding to the story. And then she uses that to like signal whoever's behind, oh, get ready to go, like that way, and what else? Anything else? I don't know.
No, it's fine. You're on enemy
wait,
surveillance. You want to make sure
Watch
that
out for the snake.
a snake, you say? Huh.
Yes.
That's actually super topical. So actually, you start to notice, like every 10 feet, like an exponentially larger number of snakes. This is something that was already going to happen. So it's very surprising that you mentioned a snake. But
I have the sights. What can I say?
you do. You do. The fool has the sight. Okay, so you do start to see a large number of snakes kind of appear out of the swamp, to the point where when the gators finally get to the end of it, which you do, it's like the water is all snakes. It's like kind of like they're wading through snakes, and they're sort of like grabbing at you, and they've sort of created a natural dam of sorts. There's a bit of a river valley gap created by the lack of water, with one final like wall to scale. It's not difficult, and you're able to get past. The horses are able to climb up the sides, no issue. And Bernard, I should have clarified. There literally were enough gators for everybody, including Bernard and the horses. I mean, including Susan and Sir Neighto, which is like 26 gators or something ridiculous, but it happened. You heard it. You heard it this day. You get to the end. It's all snakes. You hop off. We're finally at the ruins that you need to be at. Now, this is where the majority of the cavalry was left behind. And Maladar is one of the only ones still with you. There obviously weren't enough gators for them to hop on. They sort of you hopped on and went off too quickly for them to follow, but you're being pulled, you're being called by something. Malad is with you and starts to give you a little context on Rizea. I know this place. The witches, the elders, they come here rarely. And this time of year is when this place is at its strongest. But the snakes are a foreboding sign. This place represents the birth of Rizea. Jessa, our founder, looked to the sky and followed the constellation of the star-maned horse as it ran across the plains of the night cosmos until she ended up here. A place suffused with Old Kingdom power. But apart from that, power that the primordials have granted to the land even prior to that. So many blessings on one spot has created a sort of world-class magic that none can replicate. The original 9 clan founders of the Rizea, including my own, came here and are still marked by a monolith that can only be seen at wintertime or close to it, like right now. Now, if you look around, you'll see each of these monoliths clear and open as the witches come back every year. But this oasis, this bloom, it's unheard of. Now, there was a 10th monolith, not just 9. There was a 10th clan. The Kamala, a snake-based tribe who fell, fought, rebelled, and eventually were destroyed. The witches have tried for years to purify, to cleanse, to get rid of the corruption of this area, but never with any success. Recently, the entire world was shaken with the activation of these shadow gates. One can only assume that the added pouring of corruption changed something. And although the stone and its area looks more evil, it looks more alive than it's ever been. So far, you seem to have done what my people could not, what my cavalry could not specifically. I leave it to you. Clearly, Jessa meant to bring you here for a reason. Maybe each of you represent a part of the 9 or descendants of theirs in some spiritual way. But the Kamala Stone is your target. And so it's sort of shifted from like literally resurrecting her. Maybe. Not necessarily known yet, but at least the conversation focusing more on the stone and this 10th piece, this lost fraction. We'll get to the resurrection of Jessa after we figure out what to do with the stone. I will leave it to you to start discussing it. And I'm so sorry. In the meantime, I just want to say we've had amazing raiders so far. We've had Roll for Damage. We've had Hangman's RPG. We had Jehananon. Amazing raiders. Thank you so much for joining. Green Ronin just subscribed. It's such a pleasure to see you again while we're playing Blue Rose. We're at Jessa's ride currently, reestablishing potentially or finally inevitably destroying the remnants of the Kamala clan at its heart. So let's see what our wonderful players will do here.
Would Richendra know about the Kamala Stone, or does she just knowing about them right now?
I guess it's the first time that you would have heard about it, like, with words. But again, like, you're being called here for a particular reason. Each of you, it seems like, were chosen, whether it be by the Primordials, by the 7, by the Exarchs of Shadow. Somebody has kind of pushed you on this path. So you've known about it. You've seen it in dreams. The snakes were a telltale sign, but you never really knew about the history until right now.
Okay. We should have looked at everyone and be like, all right, well, here's the question. Do we really need this Kamala Stone, or can we just destroy it and then resurrect Jessa?
Well, seems they're in a decline because they aren't whole. One of their pieces is missing. Snakes.
The snakes
Maybe
are
it's
just-
part of nature.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sir Neighto.
I was going to say the rider. Neighto is off finding one of the few pieces of actually edible grass in the vicinity, but the rider looks over towards Neighto with a perhaps a somewhat exasperated look. Knocks the side of his head a couple of times and then says, a great and wondrous. So, oh, it's this swamp. I can't do it. Has considered deeply and long as the land has laid beneath his hooves, as long as the wind has swept across the prairies of these lands. And he has considered that our group has a peculiar talent. Taken as a whole, we are more a force of change and movement than we are of stasis and stability. It would seem to them that what the gods have intended for us, and we are ever the creatures of the gods and roaming the wilds at their whims, is to make a change in the status quo of some kind, whatever that may be. Now,
Death Arcana,
Some
Death
of it-
Arcana, Death Arcana. Sorry.
some of us have strength in a physical sense, but it seems that more so we have the strength of our own convictions and that of the stories we bring. The stories that are whispered on the winds of the night, whether from the moon or from the clouds, whether from the rivers or from the earth itself. It seems as though that is mayhaps where we should find inspiration. And then he just sits down and breaks a piece of biltong in two and starts chewing.
Philosophical horse. It's what I needed right now. Although very true. And that was quite a moving argument. I think Rem was saying something essentially fairly close, that something was missing, and that there were snakes hiding. It was missing part of a hole. More specifically, to get an image of what you're looking at, the rest of the dirt is like swampy, right? As a result of this oasis springing up, but the Kamala clan monolith is like on red, sterile clay. It's on a small mound, and in the sky, like from the sky, so looking top down, forms the image of a snake eating an egg, right? So it is a sort of like Ouroboros, a sort of circle of change, of rebirth, of death. At this point, it's something to either be fixed or helped, or something to be destroyed.
Teresinha's on the side of fixing whatever it is, so she'll help Rem find the missing piece. And I have a lot of
Neighto?
conviction left.
This will probably be our last roll of the game, and it will be a group roll. So if everybody wanted to use a conviction to auto succeed on their roll, it would assuredly succeed. But I just want to make sure where we're at right now. So Teresinha's leaning towards fixing, Rem is leaning towards fixing, Neito's leaning towards fixing from what I can tell. Roksolana, Richendra?
I will say that I am not a person of great intelligence. In fact, my family sent me out to hopefully learn about the world, and you know, I was all for that. Be able to see adventures and see things that I didn't know were there. And I'm writing this story to remember this journey and to possibly learn from it and maybe gain some insight into nature and things. Because I really didn't, care about learning stuff like that. But being around you all, it was like, wow. Nature is really cool. So yeah, destroying things just seems wrong, doesn't it? So yeah, let's fix it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If things get worse, we'll destroy it then, right? Yeah.
If things get worse, I smash it with a hammer.
There you go.
I agree.
Said my
We should
piece.
fix it.
I'm going back to writing.
Richendra, you're on it too.
Alright. She's like, you know what, y'all are right. We can't destroy nature. It's very bad. So let's fix it. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if anything happens to this thing, we need to fix it. I want to say as fast as we can, but make sure we do it, I want to say correctly, but it's nature. Sometimes things can't be done correctly. Because, I mean, I grew up in the wild, around here, and we do things like in our own pace, like turtles. But at the same time, we get the job done. So I say we fix it. If it can be fixed, we can fix it.
In a show of faith, companionship, hope, and love, which is what Blue Rose is all about in the end, you band together and choose to fix the stone. The day that Jessa created these clans and the 9 came, there were only 9, but there was a 10th monolith who had no vessel for growth, for channeling. It was cast out and stigmatized for that reason. Finally, it seems like the group of you have triggered something different. I'm sorry, just for the roll, I'm assuming everybody is using a conviction here? Yep. Okay. So, banding together, whether you were holding hands, hugging, holding each other deeply, or just looking right at the stone and feeling everyone in your heart, you feel the stone change. A light flashes down from a star directly upon the Kamala monolith. And a vision of Jessa appears briefly, golden-hued, something that you've only ever heard of happening in Aldis, of something of this magnitude. It doesn't seem to be magic of the 7. It seems to be primordial in nature, starlight. Jessa, a detail that was erased, probably, definitely not intentionally, but oral histories have a little bit of a lack after some apocalypse or deathly encounter, or with things that don't exactly that aren't exactly known. Jessa is actually a trans woman. She's a Layvel in Blue Rose terms. Jessa looks at all of you, reaches out her arms, and hugs each of you kind of at the same time, but also individually, where you aren't like put into a collectivist unity brain, but you're also treated as if you are one. She cries. She says thank you. She's wearing clothes of ancient Rizaean peoples. And she says, The great Kanafasha came every winter for as long as her reign lasted, seeking for a vision from me. I gave her what help I could, but her responsibility to restore the Kamala, or that responsibility to restore the Kamala was not on her, but on you, the 10th rider, the 10th group. They say it's one person, but it really does take a village. No individual could lead to the creation of a new clan. And so, each of you, I ask if there are any Rizaean amongst you, or even if you are non-Rizaean, that you take upon the mantle that I am about to grant you. She reaches out her hands, and the algal bloom pushes all of the snakes upwards, and it scares you for a little bit, but they're not violent. They wrap around the monolith, and the egg that was appeared to be eaten, or was being eaten by the snake, as well as a snake, is wrapped in snakes as a sort of like, as the sculpture becomes itself a biomass. They sort of dissolve until one gigantic egg is left. It hatches and cracks open as a white basilisk. The largest snake-like creature you've ever seen slithers out and says, "This is a guardian of Rizea. I entrust it to the lost Kamala, now restored. Its care, its growth, its life. Please, if you take care of this, the 9 other clans will never want for protection ever again. This creature will roam our plains, help all who wish to help Rizea, and protect it from the demons and corruption that seeks to take it from within. My ride is still inaccessible to most, but for you clan founders, for you heads of your clan in your own way, you can come back whenever you'd like and seek counsel with me. Learn more about your past, the tribe that you could have been and now will be. This is your responsibility." And like, she like almost, you know, she's like a deity. She's like this literally trans woman god who's like doesn't want to beg because it's coming from a place of power, but she's like has so much hope, so much trust in you to keep this like wonder of nature alive, to protect nature forevermore and keep the Ouroboros going, that like she poured her heart out to you. What do you say to her and each other, everyone?
Yay!
For the first time, a yay!
Thumbs
Well
up
said.
from Richendra.
My family is not going to believe this.
There's like a magical girl transformation into some Rizaean, like ancient, like beautiful fabrics. Like you can, it's like over your regular clothes, so you can choose to wear either outfit. But yeah, like never gonna believe this as you look down at your like god fabrics.
Teresinha says, she kind of like wipes a tear from her eye and stop sniveling, Maria. It's beautiful. And she says, little squirrel like crying into her tail.
Yeah,
just, like,
yeah.
And Teresinha says, all is how it should be. Obrigada. And she just says thank you and sits down and eats some bread and cheese. Time for a sandwich.
Immediately, the basilisk, which is aptly named Kamala, you like lays down to have Bernard like step up, and then does this thing where like like puts Bernard out, like moves its head really fast up, so Bernard like goes up and then down, but not enough for Bernard to fall. So like bouncy basilisk for all creatures who would like to jump on basilisk. As again, there's no corruption in this basilisk. There's not an ounce of ill will. It's literally a giant dog, like to be played and pet with and hug its stomach and tummy and whatnot. And it literally loves everybody in Rosea who means well for the land and nature, which is obviously the founders of Kamala. So you and your companions are well treated. So Teresinha is enjoying her meal and watching Bernard like play bouncy castle on Kamala. Rem, how about you? Since you and Teresinha are usually together.
Yeah, Rem is just mostly silent, just taking everything in, and he kind of shivers a bit to get the rain off his feathers. Well, I'm glad we could put that back together. An interesting story to take forward.
That's right. That's what this is about for you in the end. The stories. You're right. The Roseans and the Roamers both won't believe this. And I mean, your background is Roamer. You're a Rosean now. You're literally like the most nomadic owl, like in the world right now. Like it's just some like sage of the six pet stuff. Like it's awesome. So you're right. Like everybody is gonna not believe this wild story. Richendra.
She's happy that, you know, she is a clan now. She's like, she gets a little jealous of Bernard. She's like, I want to get bounced around by a basilisk.
Kamala sticks his tongue up. Like hop on, like she's like so excited. She's like ready to like burst, like hop on.
You see this usual smile on Richendra's face. She like literally like runs over and she's like, "This is the greatest day of my life. No one will not believe this." Just imagine like Richendra just bouncing up and down, like saying yay and woohooing. She is having the greatest time of her life right now.
It's so sweet. And as our newly formed Kamala clan rejoice with the spirit of Jessa at Jessa's ride at the core of Rosea, we will call that an end on today's chapter of Blue Rose West Marches for week 7. Wow. I had an amazing time. It is always an amazing time playing Blue Rose, but every single week, every single session, every group changes the world in some immeasurable way and sets something up for the next week. Easter egg that we didn't get to see during the game, the party members from last week who became pirates, Berengar, Ben, Riva, Rin, and Raksha, essentially, I'm sorry, not Raksha, yeah, Gilly, hopped together and basically saved the pirate invasion with their own pirate ship. And so last week's heroes saved the pirate thing in Rosea today. And a new tribe leader was chosen, or a new great Kana. Kana was chosen, albeit they'll need to cast a revote because there's literally a whole new clan now. So, like, probably should ask what the 10th clan wants first as you bring the news back. So, fun reverberations throughout the world. My name was Anthony, everybody. It was a pleasure to be your narrator for today. We had amazing raids, like I said, from amazing people like, Roll for Dames, Hangman's RPG, Johannanon, we had, great people. Roll for Days. So thank you so much, everybody, for rating Green Ronin, for hopping on here. Thanks again, Green Ronin, for making this possible and playing Blue Rose, and Weave the Tale for hosting us. Ian is our tech for tonight, and he was absolutely amazing. So I'm just going through it, my bad. But he was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Again, my name was Anthony. I go by he/him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at Prainntheplague. I stream usually on Weave the Tale here, and so you can always check Weave the Tale schedule for more of my stuff. I stream some Boron with the other Weave the Tale storytellers on Mondays at 8:30 Eastern. I'm usually in a one-shot on Wednesdays, and on Fridays I'm here playing the wonderful Blue Rose West Marches with a queer and trans focused positive stories, setting them as the default, as we did today with Jessa, which I was very happy to do, and will continue to do for the rest of these weeks. So, that's what I have for my stuff on Weave, and it was an absolute pleasure to run for everyone again tonight. We are going to go, if I remember correctly, in the same order that we went last time for our outros, and I'm probably going to get the order wrong, so forgive me in advance, everybody. Cadence.
Yeah, I think I was first. I don't know. I hate being first, but yeah. Yeah. Oh, what a game. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Just pondering the possibilities of what this is going to do to your world. It's a thing. I'm Cadence. I go by they, them, she, whatever. I can be found on the Twitter at MagdaleneBloom. I don't have any other streams coming up, but if anybody has an opening in the game or something, my DMs are open. We'll see if it can fit in my schedule because I have a job. Okay, that's all.
That is actually such a great outro, so thank you so much. I'm definitely gonna get Staff. You're second.
Hi, I'm Staffan. I've had the fun of being Neighto and his rhydan. It was just such an absolute pleasure to get to put my feet back in the Weave waters, especially in an episode where I was able to just dive straight in, unattached to the land and the mythos and all that is. Yes, I'm a Glorantha devotee, you might be able to tell. I occasionally hang out on my own Twitch stream doing Glorantha stuff, Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu stuff, even some Flight Simulator stuff. But right now, my steady gig, as it were, is on Thursday nights over on Party Wipe Games in the Feywild tale, where I get to try to out-chaos the Feywild. We'll see how that goes. So if you want to see something more of me, that's where you'll find me, if I'm not lurking. Fun.
Thank you so much, Staff. I enjoy Glorantha as well, and I'm hoping to play more RuneQuest soon, so keep an eye out for that as well. Next up, Brittany.
Why, hello everyone. My name is Brittany. You can catch me here on BrittanyBWrites. Unfortunately, I'm kind of not streaming anything right now, but I do write stories. You might see Richendra in a story soon. I don't know. But yeah, you can just catch me on Twitter or, on my blog where I write, or whenever I post up stories. And that's it. Thank you for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure to have you, Brittany, and Richendra, of course, as well. Next up, Ryan.
Ryan, you can find me on Twitter, Sphinxral, or find me here on Twitch, just lurking in people's channels. Fun game.
Yeah, was an absolute pleasure. I cannot get over the Demon Slayer Boulder Break. I'm literally going to think about that for such a long time. And I just, you set out to play the character of a very wizened owl, and I really felt like at every turn there was like a proverb to be pulled from like some insight for what was going on. Like it has to be made whole. Like you started it, and like a beautiful basilisk named Kamala came of it. So I really appreciate it, Rem. Thank you so much, Ryan. And definitely last but not least, Nikki playing Teresinha.
All right. I am Nikki, and I had the joy of playing a very big lady named Teresinha tonight. And you can find me everywhere online at halfling_Nikki. I am the co-creator at TTRPG. I also do the casting and the scheduling. So make sure you follow me so that I can tell you when we have stuff coming up that we're casting for. And what else was I going to do? We have on Wednesdays right now, we have a masks game that is raising funds for Equality Texas. And coming up on March 19th will be our premiere of our other masks game, which will be a long-term campaign, whereas the one for March is just in March. And I'm in that. So tune in on Saturdays for that. Thank you, Anthony. It's always a pleasure to play with you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I love Teresinha. Your protection of nature was like a core central thread for the entire game, and it was like very, very definitely felt. TTRPG is amazing. You should totally check out all of their content, as far as masks, avatar. There's a lot to get there, and they're only growing. So make sure to hit that follow button on Twitter and watch those YouTube VODs and Twitch videos. So thank you so much, everyone, again, for an amazing night playing Blue Rose, and hope to see you again next week for more West Marches. Bye-bye, everybody.